So thank you. Good morning, everyone, and a special thank you to KixCare and to PTPA for inviting me with this incredibly esteemed group of colleagues and professionals. So I concur and agree that what we have done is really created, focused a microscope on something that was probably or really was already there. Any of us who work in mental health know that there's been a crisis and an access to service issue for many, many years. And yet what COVID has done is put the spotlight on it. But I want to frame this in a really positive way by saying, I'm actually happy about that, which sounds ironic, except that now we have put this issue on the table where people are no longer scared to have this conversation. And I spend most of my day working with children and adolescents, and they want to have this conversation. So I feel like it's wonderful that the adults in the world are finally catching up to it. But we do have, in my opinion, three big things that we need to do. One is to end the stigma. Like I said, I feel that the kids are ready to have these conversations, but we need the parents, and I feel like they're finally on board to focus their attention to this, and the government and all the powers in education. Second, we need to build community, because more so than anything else, all of these, going to Zoom school and the end of your hockey tournaments and no graduation, what these have done is isolated children, and children are feeling very alone. Parents are feeling very alone, and they do not know how to manage it. And the last thing we need to do is to educate people. So I want to spend a few minutes trying to give you a little bit of hopefully some practical tips of things that you can do right now. So at the core of anxiety, what we find is one really important word, which is uncertainty. And because of cell phones and because of technology, the generation that we are focusing on today is used to having information at their fingertips quickly without really too much work. They're used to knowing things quickly. And what we have done in the last 2 years is entered an entire world of uncertainty. Am I going to school? When we're told Friday we're going, and then kidding Monday. And even the day we went back last week, the next day was a snowstorm, as if the world laughed at us even further. So what we need to do is help children understand that they can deal with uncertainty. And we need to be modeling that as parents. The other big word is about control. And there are really very few things in the world that we can control. And this pandemic has shown us that more than ever before. What we can't do is fall into a feeling that because we can't control it, there's no point. And what I'm hearing a lot from kids is, what's the difference? What's the point? Which is really, a very worrisome statement. So few things that I would suggest to parents out there. One is acknowledge that this is hard. This is hard for your student, your client. This is hard for your child, and this is hard for you. The other thing is that all feelings are valid. So when parents call me and say, my kid's really angry, I'm okay, good. Anger is a normal human emotion, and we have to allow kids to be angry. We have to allow them to be upset. The question isn't to stop them, or the goal isn't to stop them from feeling their emotions. The goal is to find a productive way to handle that anger, because all human feelings are valid, and we want them to share them. We don't want them locking themselves in their room and developing other bad habits, because one thing that hasn't been mentioned yet today, which may come up later, is a rise in substance abuse, which is another, and addiction. And that addiction can even be to gaming, which I'm seeing a lot of in my clients. So what I would tell parents to do in 3 minutes or less is a little bit of cognitive behavior therapy. We are very busy as adults. We are always asking people how they're feeling. And that's really important, because all feelings are valid. We're very, as teachers and as parents, we're very fixed on what are you doing? We're fixed on people's actions. And sometimes what we need to be looking at is what they're not doing, because at the hallmark of anxiety and depression is avoidance. We have to look at them. Are they engaged? How can we help them be engaged? Asking those questions. And the final, and I think the most important thing, is asking them what they're thinking. And we don't really teach children to look at their thoughts, but we need to, because what they are thinking will open up our eyes to the core of what is really worrying them, you know. So children seem very worried now, you know, am I going to see my friends again? Am I going to get sick? Are my parents going to die? A whole series of very important, significant questions, which is helping fuel this mental health crisis, which, when analyzed either with a parent who can sit and have that conversation with them, a cousin, an aunt, a teacher, some adult, to help them try to challenge those thoughts. Is it true? You know, we just heard from a leading expert that most children who get COVID are not going to die. And we need to be sending, again, we need to be giving them proper messaging. You may get sick, you may have to be away from school for 5 days, or you may miss out on this, but you're not, the thing that you're most worried about isn't really going to happen. And teaching them, once they've analyzed those thoughts, to check whether their thoughts are true. Are they helping them? How is it holding on to how holding on to that thought is limiting your access and your success in moving forward and getting on with your life, and helping them reframe their thoughts to more realistic and balanced thinking. Our goal here is not eradicating all negative thoughts. Our goal here is to have more balanced thinking. And to have balance in our lives, we have to promote other skills. We have to exercise, get some fresh air. I've said to so many parents in the last weeks, you know, now thankfully they're back at school, but when they were off, there's no reason why recess can't be outside on the driveway or, you know, in the courtyard of your apartment. Getting outside, getting some exercise, because we as parents, we as humans are extra stressed, we're overwhelmed. I call the kids prickly. And on a daily basis, we have to help kids bunch and group their activities into small, and parents do this too, what you have to accomplish by the end of the day, what you should accomplish by the end of the day. And it would be nice if I had this as well, and putting our lives into manageable components that we can actually be successful at. One of the things two things, and I'm going to stop in a second, but two of the things that I think are really missing, and the things that I'm worried about for these children, is they don't have those successes because of the masks, and because of this, they're missing the smile from the teacher or their friend, you know, good job, those nuances that are being missed. And we need to create opportunities without the hockey tournaments and without some of those things to be successful. And the other issue I just want to raise is that we have to have some education around some of the soft skills. What else are we missing? Feeling part of a team, building empathy, encouraging children to reach out to their friends. Girls are really good at it, boys not so much. Putting up a TikTok does not necessarily, I would not constitute that as reaching out for a friendship experience. And we do have a lot of work to do to build some of these skills. So it can be done. And days like today and conversations like now help us focus on the real practical things that we need to come together and do for our kids.